Hello. In this chapter, we're going to go through some absolute basic terminology with website and website design. So to start with that, we got to understand what is a web page. A web page is a simple single page that's usually written in static HTML. It's a language, hypertext markup language, HTML, or a dynamic page written in PHP, ASP, etc., sometimes using more than one technology. What is a website? A website is a collection of web pages. So the next thing we're going to talk about is registration and hosting. You've probably heard about registering your website or hosting your website, domain name servers, all this stuff. And I always wondered what would be the best way to explain to someone what is registration, what is hosting, what is this process. So I came up with this way of explaining it that seems to work. And the way I do it is by giving the analogy of a person to a website. So in this section right here, you'll see, there's a person or people. Generally, they have an ID or a birth certificate. It's usually a one-time thing, just like registration. It's a one-time thing. And that's a unique domain name. So once you buy that website, unless you don't pay for that registration fee every year, you pretty much have that name. And the point I'm trying to make here is that it is a unique domain name, and generally you register it only once. So you don't register it every year, but you pay for registration fees every year. So that's kind of like the best way I can explain what registering a website is all about. So it could be www.domainname.com. Now, in terms of hosting, you have to pay hosting fees. So just like your apartment, you have your ID, you have all this stuff, but then you need to live somewhere for the most part, and you pay rent to a landlord every month. Similarly, websites pay hosting fees every month. It's usually an ongoing monthly fee, although in some cases you may have to pay a yearly fee, or you may get a discount by paying yearly fees. So I hope this comparison or this analogy that I'm making with people and websites gives you some sort of an easy way of understanding what registration and hosting is all about. It's not supposed to be that complex. I've tried to simplify the entire process. There are parts about registration and hosting, like choosing the right domain name server, managing your name servers, stuff like that. We'll get into all of that later. For now, just want you to know the difference between registering your website and hosting your website. So you can't just register your website and then expect for your site to be online. You need to place that website somewhere. You need to host it somewhere. You are the guest. The place that you host your website is usually called the host or the server, and you pay those hosting fees. So in my opinion, the best registrar, a registrar is the entity that registers your website. I found a really good experience using GoDaddy.com. It's very easy to manage my domain name with GoDaddy.com. On the other hand, there is hosting, and when it comes to hosting, I would go with HostGator. And the reason I pick HostGator is because their customer service is amazing, especially if you're new to website design, development, or pretty much anything. They give you, they're very nice on the phone. They're very easy to talk to over live chat. Over the last few years, I found that HostGator definitely gives you that good service, and it's easy answers too. They don't give you a runaround when you ask them a question. So that's my recommendations for registration and hosting. And in the next lesson, we're going to go through how you can set up your one-click Drupal install.